Staying off social media for one, but just starting with saying exactly this if like you just don't know how to start. Communication is something I always go back to. Virginity in itself is different from each person. Trying to push it away is just never a good thing. So many things are best learned out of firsthand experience. Enjoying your alone time, but quality alone time. And I'm doing this. This is the third time I filmed this because I hate either the way I look, the camera is, there's so many problems and I'm tired of it. Hi guys, hello. If you're new, hi, I'm Haley. If not, welcome back. I am filming yet another normalization conversation sort of video. I usually do these while I'm sewing or I do it with some friends. I never am just sitting down and just talking and just about these things. I'm doing that now and I've filmed these twice, which makes it just more intimidating because I feel like how I've answered these questions in the last two videos have been ways I'm proud of, it makes it 10 times more frustrating because I just want to be as articulate and just as good as I was answering those questions then now. So whatever, but basically I do this on my channel where a lot of other people do these videos, so it's nothing new, but I feel like this is the one trendy video that I will like participate in because I want to normalize these topics and these subjects and points of conversation, and to do that I want to just have a video about it. So any advice or any like tips or anything I say about any of these topics, I hope that you guys just take with a grain of salt and know that this is obviously different and subjective to each person, and that I tend, like, my only mission and like motive or like objective in this is to just normalize or just help normalize these conversations. Not that I'm like, you know, the magician who can normalize these for everyone, but like help get the conversation started. While doing that, I did want to do my makeup and I hope this does not get like jittery. So I do these and I put the little question box on my Instagram, so if you ever see it, that's what this is. And like if you ever want to ask some questions or just start some conversations, you can do that in the comments too. You don't have to, you know, if you don't want to do it here. But I use this as a place too where it's just like if you just don't have a place to, you feel comfortable talking about certain things or anyone to really talk to about certain things, I hope that this serves as a place to just start that conversation for you to feel a little bit less alone. How do you cope with those days that feel as if you're dissociated with yourself? During last summer of quarantine, like the thick of it, I experienced like 2 heavy months of it, and for, you know, very fair reasons, but obviously in the moment it felt so much longer and so much more intense and just heavy again. And the best advice that I can give from that learning experience and from my dissociation experiences before and even now is that you one, feeling it out and not trying to force yourself to get out of it in the moment, because of course you can do coping mechanisms and like grounding exercises and stuff, which are just like sustainable ways of dealing with it. But in the moment, I think the best thing is to feel it and to not reject it and push it away, because that will only make it worse. And you get more frustrated and just more emotional and impulsive with things. And I feel like if you just sit with yourself and like kind of dwell in it for a minute and just, I think that that's the best way to go about it, because if you do that, you can journal about it and you can try and like put it into words in that way, but just trying to push it away is just never a good thing. But then still doing those exercises, like the grounding ones and meditations even, and whatever you think fits for just getting in the moment and mindfulness, but not trying to force it in the sense that that's what's going to get you back in touch with reality in that very second. I think also having a support system in communicating how you feel, because I've been in situations where I just don't feel comfortable in trying to explain what it is or what it feels like, because they haven't experienced it themselves maybe, and it just puts them in an uncomfortable position of not knowing how to respond, which I get that, but I hope that you have somebody that you can just kind of tell, or just like you're in an environment where it's hopefully a safe one where you can vocalize how you're feeling, and like people can, you know, you understand that you know that they don't have the answers of how to respond or react, but like more that they just know what's going on in your head, and it gives you, you know, you don't have to explain why you're acting the way you are, sort of thing. But I do understand how defeating it is and how lonely it feels, but just trying not to push it away in that very moment is, I think, something to just keep remembering, and that there will be an end to it, and it isn't forever. Being concerned about climate change is one of those discussions that is hard to make. That is so true, and I feel like that's also hand in hand with politics too, just in general, with especially around people who have opposing views as you. What I've learned from growing up in an environment with some people around me who don't have the same views as me is that it is so much more energy trying to force your own ideas and thoughts and opinions down someone's throat and try and get them to believe it than just accepting that sometimes people are the way they are, and all you can do is plant a seed and hopefully that grows into this beautiful tree. But sometimes it doesn't land properly, and that's okay. You can't change everyone, and like, as much as it can be so frustrating, I think it's less energy, and it's not even you avoiding tough conversations, because that's not really what it is at all. You could still have that, and like, but I think finding a middle ground of something that you guys can both agree on, and then branching out from that, or even ending it on that note, I think is what's going to keep things at bay. But then also like understand that there is room for growth and learning that you guys can obviously see because you agree on something, but just because it is just as frustrating and just, I don't even know the right word, just infuriating even a little to, you know, see something that you're so passionate about not get the recognition and appreciation that you want. It's just kind of a learning lesson, and it, you know, it's honestly just, for you to be that passionate is a beautiful thing, and like keep doing that, but knowing that like there are going to be people out there who don't agree with you, and that's okay. It just gives you more room to like learn about it and learn about what you're passionate about, and to just like vocalize it and learn why it's important, how you can like convince people in ways that will get them to, you know, it just gives you that a little work to do as well. But I get how frustrating it is, trust me. Feeling stuck / not knowing what to do with your life. Also, another question was just someone asked like, I feel like a dropout, or like people are seeing me as a dropout right now because I'm taking the semester off. And to answer that, or just to speak to that, I find it really confusing, frustrating, annoying that people are seeing a time like now as like, and viewing people who are taking the semester off or year off as like dropouts or just failures, because before COVID, taking a semester off or year off is already something that can be deemed as like you being a failure. But that's like, to begin with, so many things are best learned out of firsthand experience, out of on-hand experiences, and just like in real life scenarios rather than getting taught in a classroom. And like I said, I mean, that's in some situations, and some people need to go off on their own and experience life a bit before, you know, figuring out what they want to do. And college, again, is not a place where you need to have an end-all be-all answer. It's a place to further learn and explore what you enjoy and what makes you light up and get you into a flow. And if you don't find it then, that's also okay. Like, during your life, I feel like we're gonna have points, and maybe this comes from like a privileged standpoint where, and I recognize that, where I hopefully can have a chance to just like check in with myself and, you know, ask myself if I'm happy in what I'm doing, and if I'm not, change that. And you know, you're gonna have moments in your life of just like light bulbs, or just like an experience or a conversation where something, you know, changes what you enjoy doing, or just something that you want to take up. And hopefully you have those in your life as well, and that might change your path or your career path or your journey or something. And you know, college is not the place for everyone to have those moments, and that's okay. And I don't even think I had those moments in college, and it's oops. I'm taking the year off as well. This is my second semester of a year off, and like, I'm grateful that I have people around me who don't see it as a failure, but, or like as a failing point in my life, but just try to understand that, or remember that just because that's their thoughts, that's their own mindset. And even people right now in college are just as lost and confused as you. Just try to remember that comparing where you don't relate is what's going to be, it's what's going to take over your head and just make you feel so shitty about yourself, and that you just have to learn to separate yourself from those people who do believe that, because that is their own thoughts and their own projections and their own ideas, and like it's not personal, it's nothing to do with you, it's just their own way of thinking about things, and that is just like a one-track mindset that doesn't have to be that way for everyone, you know? Balancing your own independence and friendship when you're in a relationship. I was answering this one with Bella just because everyone in this household right now is actually in a relationship, and we all value our independence as well. So we all kind of deal with this sort of thing. For me, it still takes a while to just try to like check in with myself, because as much as I love my independence, everyone does, it still can be very easy to get wrapped up in like spending so much time with your best friend and someone that you love spending time with. And that's with anyone. It doesn't have to be like a romantic relationship, but even a best friend or something, or someone that you're just so attached to in that way, because it's like that's not a bad thing. Like, you should want to hang out with them, be with them, and like love your time with them, but also, you know, spending all of your time can turn into like you not doing your own growth, especially at this point in your life when learning about yourself. And even though you do that in a relationship, you got to do your own work by yourself as well, and just spend time with yourself and quality time, and learn to enjoy that time with yourself. And so that when you're with that person, your quality time is extra special. And so I think communicating how you're feeling about that, and like how you want to balance that and learn to balance that, is what's going to help you. Because just trying to figure it out by yourself can leave the other person a little bit lost maybe, or a little bit confused, and take things personally, and not realize that it's just you trying to figure it out with yourself. Because I've gone down that where it just is not a positive thing. It turns into a negative thing, because it's like I'm trying to do it myself, but it does not come off that way. And it comes off as a way of just trying to get space, or like just trying to get time away, when that's not it at all. It's just me trying to regain like inner dependence, where I'm just also by myself doing things that I love by myself, and then also, you know, including that person in times I want to, you know, because you should be growing like this is a vine, not like this in my eyes. This is again from personal experience, and just from my own thoughts and stuff. But every relationship is different, obviously, and like, you know, I've seen people or relationships where they do spend all of their time together, and that works for them. So it's just, I feel like if you're a person who really enjoys your independence and alone time and stuff, and you're just trying to find a balance, you get over a crush or deal with getting rejected by a crush. I was watching Ella McFadden do a video, like Get to Know Me, and she answered a question of like how to get over a heartbreak. And her answer was something that I think a lot of people can agree with who've gone through it, and it can sound a lot easier said than done, but genuinely is the cure. And it's time and busying yourself. And not busying yourself, I mean, you'll learn what is beneficial and healthy for you, but busying yourself in a way of getting back into things that have been calling you, and things that you've put aside, and hobbies you've been wanting to try or do, or things that just get you excited, and just enjoying your alone time, but quality alone time. And time, which is, time can feel so long, and time can feel so like it's just stopped. But it is true, like give yourself 6 months and you'll look back and realize how much, maybe not even like better you feel, but also just how much yourself, like how much work you've done with yourself. And it's incredible, it's insane. I think those are the best things that I've learned and experienced, that I know that it has taken me 2 to 3 years to get over someone once, and that was time. That was time, and that was inner work, and that was a lot. And I know how difficult and hard and long it can seem, but how rewarding it can feel at the end once you do give yourself that. Just being patient and kind and compassionate with yourself, because even if you do something that you're just not proud of during the time of you healing, it's okay. It's okay. No one's experience is the same. I'm ashamed I'm a virgin. I'm a very sexual person. I've just been recovering from trauma. This I wanted to talk about because virginity in itself is different from each person. That's like already just like a bedrock thing. Is one person can see it as something that's very special to them and something that they want to save and honor and all this, and another person can be a casual concept where it doesn't have to be put on a pedestal, and it can just be treated as, you know, just something that is like it's because it is pleasurable and it's fun and it can be fun, and like that's how it just be seen as for someone, and it just doesn't have to have that much weight. Both ways are like on the same level. Like one does not hold more weight than the other, and it should not be seen as like something universal, obviously. And so however you look at it is fine, but it's hard, I know, whenever you're at a certain age and you see people around you having all of these very new fun experiences or just stories, and you can just seem lonely and left out and singled out. And not that maybe even people around you are looking at you different, it's just your own standards that you've set for yourself, where like, do you even know what standards those are? And you have these expectations, and maybe at a certain age you kind of had this idea for yourself, and life happened and reality happened and kicked in, and it can just feel so, again, lonely and frustrating even. And I get it, and I think just trying to remember, and this takes a lot of, again, like work for yourself, but remembering that comparing is going to be what's going to ruin everything for you. Because if you just remember that everyone is on their own life experience, and that everyone is having their own journey and everything, especially sexuality and virginity, then you see it in a way that isn't so scary, daunting, and like belittling almost. And you see it as more as just like a beautiful thing, because dealing with something as traumatic as maybe something you've been through goes with a lot of healing in itself, where like whenever you're ready is your own time. It is your own concept, your own thing, as in virginity, and that is something just kept to yourself and how you want to go about it, and that should not be judged or seen differently from anyone else. It should not be, it should not be decided by anyone else on how you deal with that. So keeping that in mind, that like, again, if someone were to treat you differently, that is their own reality and their own projections and their own, I don't even want to say insecurities, but their own ideas of what it should be like, and that they think that their idea is like a one-track system way, and that's not the case at all. I know I'm okay on my own, but still feel so lonely all the time. This is another one I really, really wanted to talk about, because I was watching Alana Tabor's video, and she was with a group of friends answering some questions, and one of them was talking about how even in like a really close-knit group of friends, you can feel so lonely. And as much as I think that comes with age, which is, I think, actually a big part of it, as you grow older and you're with people, you try to be more of a listener and not, it's not all about you anymore, and you don't want to spill all that you're thinking and all your thoughts, and that leaves a lot of it with yourself, and like trying to deal with it yourself, and just feeling like you just can't open up fully to anyone or say everything that's on your mind as you could maybe when you were younger with your like best friend or something. And especially whenever you start to move places and create new networking systems and new circles and pods, it just becomes, especially right now with COVID, but it can just feel so lonely. And I think my best advice for that is that learning to accept that, again, as like not something that is uncommon or not normal, and something that we all kind of deal with in our own way, and that it almost is just like a calling to learn to be by yourself and to work through those things, and to, because at the end of the day we are our own best friends, and we're just with ourselves, and we have to learn how to deal with things, obviously, but being able to deal with certain things and more deeper things, or to deal with deeper things that you might want to tell somebody and hear their advice. And as much as it is, you should have both, where you have people that you can talk to, where you can get some advice from, or just hear their own experiences from and gain from that, but also being able to sit with yourself and just learn your own coping mechanisms and learn your own way of dealing with things is just as important, if not more. And I think it's almost just a thing to remember. We should, as we get older, learn to love our alone time as a way to just like love ourselves more and stuff, because it, again, like I said, I feel the same exact thing at times, and I think that it's something that, like, as I say with like all of these, is like we all are feeling the same things. We're obviously answering these questions, like these questions are getting sent in like an abundance, and I think it just shows that you're not alone. And just remember that. How to find peace in a toxic environment. This can be a tough one, because it's obviously, again, very different with each scenario. and situation, in the sense of like maybe it's like your family home, and or maybe it's like with your roommates or whatever your environment is. It's, you know, I'm not sure what it is, but communication is something I always go back to, but I understand that you can communicate all you want and that's still not going to change things. So if that doesn't work, I hope that you have some kind of plan of getting out of that environment, for one. As much as life can be difficult and so sad and so just hard at times, I hope that you still can, like, life is still meant for us to live easy, and it's for us to enjoy and experience. And if we can make that happen in any way, like with our own, like if we are capable of like making our life easier, I hope that we can. And I hope that you find light, and that you don't have to be in this environment forever, and that you can change it, hopefully. And I hope that you can have a plan to do that, and like looking forward to that, and that you can have your own like personal space in your environment where you do feel safe, or at least an outlet or someone that you can talk to, and so you're not so alone in that sense. But I know how it can feel and how uncomfortable and just, yeah, uncomfortable it can be to just be in a toxic environment. And I hope that you have someone to speak to if you don't have your own personal space, but also having plans and a vision and like manifesting, just getting out of that environment too is what's really important. Also with COVID, I know how much that's more pressing and more just like apparent. So knowing that this is going to end as well is a beautiful thing to keep in mind. How to start my morning with a positive mindset. I think this goes back to just having a morning ritual, kind of. Staying off social media, for one, is a big one. And then also just having some journal prompts. I've been practicing gratitude every morning in my journal, and just calling to things, because someone asked like, how do I have like an appreciation for life? And I think just whenever you are grateful, you're not forcing it, and you're being just grateful for things that are calling to you in the moment, and not things that you just feel obligated to be grateful for. Because you could be in a depressive episode, and it has nothing to do with, you could be just blessed with so many things and still feel so low. And that does not mean that, it doesn't discredit the things that you are grateful for. We know that you're still grateful for things, and like you probably feel guilty because, you know, you're not expressing that in ways that you want to. So feeling it in the moment and understanding that maybe you're not going to feel times when you feel appreciative or grateful, and that's okay, that's normal. But just whenever you do feel grateful, to really just hone into that feeling and to not take that one for granted, because that is what's going to, going back to that moment is what's going to help, and just remembering those feelings. But I think in the morning is just like whatever's calling to you is writing it, or just writing kind of like a future of where you want to be or how you want your day, like envisioning it, or also just writing it out. I've done that once the night before, and it was a beautiful thing. Like I didn't think it would affect me the way it did, but it did. So even setting aside time for that. I think just getting your body feeling nice and stretching, like things like that, I think is what really gets me into a positive mindset. And just having time for myself to just be, you know. How to start talking about eating disorder with my therapist. This one, it goes back to hopefully that, and not forcing it, and to do it whenever you feel called to in a session. Even just saying that you don't even know how to have a conversation, or just don't know where to start, or saying that you've even like asked somebody where to start, I think is a great place, because it gives them an idea of where you are in the process, and that you don't even need to really talk about it in that session. Just like bringing up that you've been wanting to talk about it but don't know how, just because it is their job to help you get there, just help work through that. And so starting very slow and simple is not a bad thing, and not a wrong place to start. But I know how like uncomfortable it can be, especially if you didn't go into therapy for that reason and you're not sure if this is something they specialize in. And if they don't, that's also okay. I'm sure they'll give you references, or just they'll tell you and be honest with you. But just starting with saying exactly this, if like you just don't know how to start, is like, not a wrong place, like I said. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope I got to speak on some of the things that you guys asked that are watching this. I want to continue making these, like I've said in previous ones, just because I want it to be a continuous thing to normalize these conversations until they are normalized. And it's just super important. And you know, if any of you want to speak on more of these topics or any of the ones I talked about, please feel free to do that in the comments and just make this a very open space for everyone to dump their thoughts and feelings and what they've just been going through and just are looking for just some words, you know? I love you guys so much. And again, this is not a video that I plan or intend for people to take everything I'm saying as like a very truth, I guess. I'm just trying to put the ideas out there and also just spark the conversation. So just wanted to give that late disclaimer, whatever. Anyway, I love you guys so much and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.